Um, this is Toyin Umesiri. This is kind of like a technical conversation. Um, I feel like I typically wouldn't show this side of myself. I never do, but I'm here getting ready for or putting final touches to the class I have tomorrow. So I'm teaching a class called How to Build a Globally Relevant Brand and Business. And I felt, you know what, I'll just share a little bit, a few highlights of that class. And I also feel like I need to reintroduce myself, this side of myself, which I never really show. So if you're online, good afternoon, good evening, do say hello. Toyi wants to share a more technical of a side. So let me share a little bit about my background. A lot of people know the work that I do today, but they don't know where I'm coming from because what I'm going to share is a little bit about the class I'm presenting tomorrow to my membership, my network. But so by way of reintroduction, I actually have a technology background. I came into the US for my graduate program and I studied SAP. I don't know how many people know SAP. Um, my Master's of Science in Information Systems from Central Michigan University, the concentration was actually SAP, the German software. So I used to program. I used to program ABAP. I used to do a lot of systems implementation, global implementation from manufacturing, production planning, quality management. Then I moved into procurement, global sourcing, all of that. So that was the earlier stages of my career. And then from there, I moved into strategy. And part of my role when I joined Walmart after doing some global sourcing and all of that, I moved into the strategy role and I managed a portfolio, back office portfolio of over 200 million. Let me just say that. And part of the role, my role was to take something as complex, right? And because I was in the strategy role, which I'm going to explain why I'm sharing this in a moment. One of the things I used to have to do because I was supporting like senior vice presidents and all of that was looking at a complex landscape and simplifying it in a way that can be shared easily at the executive level because they don't have time. They don't have time to go through all the details, right? So part of my role was the 3-year roadmap and all of those things was looking at something very complex in terms of backbone of a company like Walmart and then designing I'm working with cross-functional teams from real estate, all of that. I usually, again, I don't talk too much about myself in terms of the context of my background, but in within the context of what I'm about to share, you would see where I'm coming from. So part of my role was taking something as incredibly complex as the backbone, right? Working across functional teams and then crystallizing that complexity into a simple format that you could communicate up the chain or down the chain, right? That was one of the responsibilities I have. And one of the things we used to say when it comes to SAP is that it is easy to make complex, but complex to make easy. Again, it's easy to make something sound complex. You know, you all you have to do is throw around big words and you make people go, oh my gosh, that's so much work, right? But it's actually extra work. It's actually more complex to take something that is actually complex and simplify it and make it understandable by frontline associates, by executives, and all of that, which is what I used to do, right? So fast forward to today, I now get to do it in terms of my work within the context of trade and investments. The last 3 years, I've really been head down building my own company. So I've not had time to teach or show up in this way. Now you see me with my weekly live on Tuesdays. If you've not watched that, please do go to our YouTube page and subscribe as well. So now I get to I have more luxury a little bit more luxury now to show up for others. When you're starting a new business, you really don't have time, and which is what has happened where we building that platform and various platforms that have built the different brands launches and all of those things, Trade to Africa Summit, different things that you've seen me share out there. But this year, I think I'm going to take more people through the back end, and the thought processes that drive. Hi, Ari. Thank you for that. So it's good that I know someone is watching. That way I can tell them if you have any questions, just drop it. So, okay. I hope this is helpful because this is the side of me that I don't share. Honestly, I don't share it. And that's why I think people don't really understand the complexity, things that happen behind this. And so basically, my focus this year, you'll be seeing more this year, especially people in my community, which I'll share with you a glimpse of our calendar. um, my goal this year is to show up more in this frame for my community and for others, because I've seen the struggle. I've seen other people struggle. Like a lot of the things I do that people see, they really don't understand the type of skill set I have that allows me to move and navigate the landscape. I think Tuesday, the speaker, the guest I had after the show, he was like, "Toyin, I see everything you're doing. Like, how could you do all of those things?" And I smiled and laughed. Like, I used to run the most complex projects and implementation in the world. Like, yeah. So that's where I'm coming from. And then in my community now, I see people struggle. Some admit they're struggling. Most people don't admit. But when they show me what they're doing, or when I engage with them, I'm like, oh no, you're not going far with that, right? So last year with COVID and everything, it really made me reflect to say, okay, when I talk about Trade with Africa, how many people actually understand what this means? And not just comprehend, but in terms of have the skill set to implement it and to execute on what I'm challenging and inspiring and encouraging them to do. And what I found is not enough. And that's even one of the reasons the numbers are low. Not enough people have the skill set and the technical competency to pull this thing off. That was my understanding. So when I realized that last year, I said, okay, I need to adjust and show up and figure out. And it took me a while to figure out. So now I now know what I'm doing in terms of my schedule. The last couple of months of last year, I changed my plan, I changed my calendar. I blocked time out for Tuesdays live, showing up every day for Fridays. I'm sure going to show you some calendars now. So I couldn't do it quickly last year because my calendar and the events and everything I had going on, I couldn't shift or adjust those things. So this year I'm going to do less events, only a few very strategic, very specific one. I'm going to support more people through our marketing offers. So my goal is we now have the platform, we have the reach, I'll have all of those things needed to pull things off, things that it took us years to build. But now, number one, we are going to do for ourselves less events. That way we can free time up to coach, support, teach our community base, because they're kind of they all of them take resources. They take time, they take resources, they take planning, they take strategy. And this year my decision was, I'm going to prioritize coaching over events. And when you look at the landscape out there, there's so many people already, oh, how many Zoom meetings do you see out there? Most of them, you dial in, you dial out. Do they really transform things for you? And I'm like, no, that's not who we are. And we are not competing with that. We're not playing on that game or that level of, oh, let's pull people together. Let's spend 1 hour of their time, 2 hours of their time talking and feeling important. And then they walk away with, you know, what just happened there. You don't have access to those speakers. You can't ask them questions. You can't have the experience, right? So that's not where we're going to put our focus on. Yes, we're going to do events, but our events are strategic. So, for example, the Chicago Africa Business Exchange that is coming up in March is extremely strategic, where we're going sector, we're going deep, and we're building city engagements with Africa. So that's very specific. That's very strategic as well. So we'll do those types of engagement. But the random things that people are doing out there, it's a waste of time. If it's not moving your agenda forward, if you're not having the skill set to use that information, well, maybe I should take it back. Maybe it's not a waste of time for you, but for me, I'm not doing that again. Anyway, so so what are we doing? What are we then going to do? That's what I'm going to share today. Um, I'm now clear the people that I can work with, the types of people, the types of profiles of people that I can support, that I can help them win, I can help them, to transact. And we've created our network membership trade. I've actually renamed it. It used to be called Trade with Africa Network. But in the context of the grand things we're doing and how globally relevant is, we're looking for we had to move to a name that actually reflects the breadth, the depth and breadth of what we're talking about. So it's trade, export, import, buying, selling, everything you need to know within that space. It's investment, it's stakeholder engagement, it's policy management, it's all of those things. Again, something very complex. I'm trying to make it simple and walk my community through that. So what we're doing this year is every single month. So let me bring out what I wanted to share today. I just pulled some slide again. This is something totally new. People haven't seen me this way, but anyway, let's see. Okay, so I'm playing. This is not the system I use for my training, right? But it works for what I'm about to do now. Okay, so this is like the calendar for the next 6 months for the Trade and Investment Network. I think it's two. I don't know if you can read it. Let me try another format. Yeah, this might be better. Let me take this out. So, can you still hear my voice? I hope so. Okay, yeah, thanks, Henry. Yeah, my background is something people don't. You just said thanks for sharing my background. I don't talk about it much. A lot of people that have come to engage with the work that I do today, they've only seen what I'm doing today, but they don't know where I'm coming from. So I feel like from time to time, I may need to reintroduce myself through that lens. So every second Friday in my membership network, we get on the call. And thank you, Henry. We get on a call, um, and it's a community chat. Because what I also realize is people on social media, people DM, like we have our own group that operates like a social media platform. Like it's a platform where people have their profiles, company page, they engage with one another, they can email, message, they can do all of that work. And in that community, there are e-courses, master classes, events, activities like repository of exclusive content. Like if you want to study AFCFTA, you can do it there. If you want to go to class, you can do it there. So it's an immersive experience that I'm creating in that space. So every Friday, instead of just people, exchanging and typing to each other, we get on a Zoom. That way, people you can put a name to the face, you can connect better. And I've seen it work so powerfully. I used to, and I've shared it before, where I used to have a Zoom, I'm sorry, a WhatsApp group back in 2018. I don't have it. That's something we've graduated to this community where people would meet, talk, and then when we have our in-person trade summit, they will see each other and be like, I know you, right? Yeah, we used to be on the same group, right? So that's something I'm trying to recreate where you get to connect, because at the end of the day, we only do business with people we know and trust. Right? We only do business, whether it's local, because I talk about three markets: the local market, the regional market, and the global market. I'm going to keep mentioning that. Um, we when you're in your local market, right, and everybody in that market, you know each other, you have a common understanding, it's easier to transact. But once you start going international, regional, it's brings its own challenges. So over time, I also want to create this opportunity where people connect and they become more familiar, and they build this relationship over time. Because a lot of times, relationships that you grow over time are those same people that you end up doing business with. So take note of that. So every second Friday, we had one last week. Is it what's this? Yeah, last week was second Friday. This year is going really fast, really, really fast. Can you tell 2021 to slow down? Okay, so we had one last week, and then every third Friday, we're holding a class. I'm delivering a class, like hands on, roll up your sleeves, let's get to work. These are skill set that you have to have in order for you to win. Because I don't just want people on the community and not growing. So we're going to grow. Everyone that is a premium member will grow. You have to grow. By the end of this, like if you work with me, I've made my own commitment. That's my commitment to the community. Like I mean, 3 years ago, I mean, the last 3 years, I couldn't give my time. I couldn't make myself available to people. Right? It was head down, building a business from scratch. It was running multiple events. It's global engagement with ambassadors, all of those things. But this year, 2021, I'm prioritizing this. This is the frame of this is what you're going to see me do more of this year. We have a need for it, because if you mobilize people and they don't have the right skill set, if you can transact, if you don't understand how to show up, then what are we? We're just talking. So that's what I found that we have to do 2021. So tomorrow I'm teaching how to build a globally relevant brand and business. I'll show you one slide. And then next month, February, we're talking about business development. There's a prerequisites class. Let me shift to this for my so you can see my face. So there's a prerequisite. Say my face. Okay. There's no way to zoom in. Anyway, so business development within the agricultural value chain is what we're going to be covering. There's a huge need in that space because people don't understand what it takes to go from the farm to the shelf. Right? How do you take products from the farm to the shelf? How do you build that out? How do you invest and all of those things? So next month I'll cover that. I worked for the world's largest retailer. When you think about it, I used to manage global sourcing and all of this apparel merchandising. So, in fact, also my background in terms of supply chain, logistics, warehousing, like the complexity behind technology innovation and all those things. That's where I lived before I showed my face. And then the last 3 years, people have only seen one side of towing, Nazaru, trade with Africa, which is fantastic. We've grown that this year. And we are going to see Toei more in the technical aspect because when we talk about trade, it may sound glossy. Trade and investment may sound glossy, but behind it is actual work, right? Getting my product on Amazon is grinding. Like getting trademarks approved is day-to-day grind. So I think I only show the results that I'm producing. In the past, I would just show you the result, like, hey, Toyin launched lipstick, like I'm wearing, and everybody would be like, yes. Did you know what it took? No. If somebody else wants to do that, do you know what it takes? No. That's what I'm saying, that I'm realizing that people are seeing the glamorous side of trade and investment, and that's fine. You'd see me on Tuesday show up in that space. But if you want to grow numbers, if you want to grow transactions, then you need to know shipping, logistics, warehousing, pricing strategy. Like these are these are things that runs the global market. Like it's not just feeling good and shaking hands in a conference. No. And that's what I'm seeing that people are struggling with, that they don't have the experience and the technical competency. And I want to see how I can share that more. So you're going to see me in that serious light, especially those in my community. We're going to roll up our sleeves and do the dirty work. That's what it takes, really. But then when I show up outside, I'm like, oh, how are you? Anyway. But anyway, so that's why that side of the work is not for everybody. There's a level of seriousness, there's a level of commitment, there's a level of dedication that is absolutely, absolutely, absolutely required to be successful in this space. there's a level of commitment. And for me, um, I'm not working below. I have an expectation, and only I'm only going to commit to those people that are committed to this. And those are the people that subscribe. So it's now going to be it's subscription based, because I just want to focus on bringing value, right? Because every time I say, okay, this class register, and then I come, oh, another class register. But instead of just going through that marketing, it's a marketing hassle. And I know we have to do that every time. So I've simplified that process to say, hey, if you want to go on this journey of growth, of technical acquiring skills to be able to win and to be able to compete globally, then subscribe. And every single month, you're guaranteed knowledge, experience, you're growing your network, you're accessing resources. And then third, did I share that? Okay, let me talk about that as well. Um, Fourth Friday, then we're doing business coaching, which is a group coaching for the people on the community. Why this is also very, very important is because even when you have knowledge and information, oftentimes you may not know how to apply it. Like you might want to ship something. Like, who do I work with? Who ships from Nigeria to US, Nigeria, Ghana? Like the execution side of or application of that knowledge, you may encounter challenges. So I've created a space for the business coaching where community members, it's like almost like office hours for me. It's like you that 1 hour period, five to two, five, six people come in and say, hey, Tony, I tried this, right? What do you need? Or, and explain what they're trying to do. And then I'm able to share my experience or guide them or make some introductions for them. So I'm holding that space. Now, coaching, um, outside of the group coaching, I also do one-on-one coaching. I've tested it out, and I've seen the transformation in people. Again, before now, I couldn't do it because my calendar would not allow. I was unable to make any commitment for you or a group or individual. I wasn't able to. But now that the work that I'm doing, the brands, everything, I feel like we've established the work. The Trade with Africa Summit, we're now in our fourth year. you know so we've grown, and now, how do we take more people on that journey? How do we coach people through that? Because at the end of the day, the mission we have, or the mission I had when I launched Nazaru, was to grow trade with Africa, to grow the transactions, to grow the numbers. US only does about 2% of its total global trade with sub-Saharan African countries. And Africa represents a quarter of the number of countries in the world. So the numbers are low. And when you look at it, the opportunities abound, but I'm finding that people don't have the right skill set, enough of the skill set needed to engage. And that's what we're committing to. Should I share this? There's also, maybe not. Okay, maybe not. I won't share. What I wanted to share before was a slide from the class tomorrow, where remember what I said about my background in terms of taking something complex and crystallizing it. Most of my classes, if you've taken any of my master classes, which I also deliver to government officials, like back in October, in partnership with African Union, I actually trained representatives from 14 African countries. So if you sat in any of my classes or any of my global engagement, you realize that I usually start with one slide that has a whole lot of things going on that slide. Part of it is I try to say, okay, we're going to cover something very dynamic here. I'm going to create this one slide to show you the complexity. And then the next couple of, like, this is where it's almost like this is where we're going. This is what we want to cover. Now let's go on that journey. And okay, maybe let me see if this will help. Okay. This is what I mean. This is what I mean, for example, for tomorrow. Thinking through what do I want to convey to attendees tomorrow, those that are registered. If you've not registered, you can head over to, okay, right there. Nezaru.trade. That's our trade platform. And nazaru.trade, www.nazaru.trade. And there are different ways you can register there. You can register just for this class. You can register as a member only without courses, and then you can register subscription based if you want to go on this entire journey that I was talking about. So this is like one of the slides of the information that will be conveyed tomorrow. And remember, this is just this one class for January. Next month, it's business development in the agriculture value chain. March is trade and investment facilitation. And some of these classes have e-courses and prerequisites that you have to take, that I'll tell you to take before. Yeah, like some of those classes have e-courses already on the platform that you need to take before you come into the class, because it sets the stage, and the concepts that I'll be sharing during that class you already understand. So for example, business development in agriculture value chain, we have an e-course, right? So I have an e-course already just for business development on the platform that people are already taking and accessing. It sets the foundation of your customer profile, value proposition, all of those things, gains, pay. You know the concept. Once you know the concept, then if you come into the class and I say, let's apply that concept to agriculture value chain, then you can go with the flow, right? So that's the way this is structured right now. Trade and investment facilitation, we already have as well, courses like a 3 hour. There's already a 3 hour masterclass recording. Actually, we have like 9 hours recording, but it's like 3 hour different chunks, and you see different classes delivered over time to different people, and you can access all the recording when you sign up as a premium member. So once you have that class, then by March, you'll be ready for the next upgrade, right? Like what's happened since then? How do you take that and apply it, right? And then export development, market entry. I'm going to introduce, I'm flipping things because I want to see, let me see if this would help. Like I'm going to reintroduce the concept of export development tomorrow as well, which is this. Yeah, this is not the system I use for training. It's not for training. It's only for live engagements, right? So like tomorrow, if you see at the very bottom right here, you see export development and market entry, because for you to build a globally relevant brand, you have to also make sure, and I'm not teaching here, but I'm just saying you have to make sure you understand those concepts. And so this is my one slide digesting something extremely complex. And then the class would run people through each of those concepts, and I'll teach this. It's built out. This is like the summary page, if I can put it that way. I always like that one page. It's like my it's like my strategy background comes back. It comes back when I try to do this, to say, okay, if I were presenting this to an executive and I'm saying I'm going to do this, do that, do this, do that, what is the one slide that I can put together that summarizes and I can walk people through? And then if they want more details behind it, we then go into the weed of the class. So anyway, I hope that helps. Again, this is Toyin with sleeves rolled up. I was really just putting final touches for tomorrow. So if you need to join us, because many people don't know what's I work on privately, and I recognize that. But my commitment this year, I think I'm going to show up more this way, because people see the results of the work that I do, but not the Mm, what it takes in terms of the work behind us, the behind the scenes thought processes, and to be honest, it's by design that it looks simple, right? When you walk into a Walmart or any store, as a customer, the experience you have should be simplified. Your customer journey, is seamless, and those are even classes I used, I've done some interesting things, right? When it comes to design thinking, design thinking, customer journey, removing friction from the customer. All of those concepts are things I use in building my own business now. And now I get to share and help other people see how to apply all of those technology, like the skill set it takes that the biggest brands in the world use to run their business. You can also learn it. I joked that sometimes, we all go to Amazon, we're taking our cards and everything, but you don't know that, they employ behavioral scientists that understands the way that we think. When you go to a store, you don't know that the sights and sound and the color and everything that you experience in the store is supposed to help you feel good and stimulate you enough that you're spending money. Anyway, those are tips and tricks of the retail world. But anyway, those are the things behind the scene that people don't know, like the way you experience my company. I work on it constantly, and I'm open to feedback, and people do give me feedback. And I have access and I engage with presidential advisors that think about economic development through that lens, and that all of those things inform my work. And that's why tomorrow I'm going to walk people through in terms of some of the things as you think about going global or reaching more people beyond the border of your local market. You need to think about one yourself. You need to think about your product. You need to think about your messaging. You need to think about your brand and your business. And those, I'm going to walk people through what they need to do and also the underlying operational excellence, right? If you make promises and you don't have the operational excellence to deliver on those promises, really, right? If you promise, you failed. If you make promises and people do this, oh, like we can do this, we can do that. And then when it's time to perform, they're like, it's broken. The systems are broken. They cannot deliver on that promise, right? So that's why that back end is so important, the operational excellence. And that's one of the reasons I think we're blessed that we always have repeat clients and repeat customers, because when we make promises through our platforms or through our engagements, and we actually we actually exceed the expectation. I That's it. The president of Afrexim Bank, some time ago, was like, wow, we experienced it, we came, we sponsored, and my team was impressed. That's so I seek that, and I encourage people to do that, like over deliver, over deliver on your promise. And that's operational excellence. And then the skills, you come at it, right? So I'm not going to teach the class now, but I'm just giving you an idea of what tomorrow is going to be about. 9 a.m. to about 10:30 Central Time. And you can register just for the class at Nazaru www.nazaru.trade. And when you get into the platform, under events, so we have a tab that shows calendar of events. You pick that class, and then the link would be there, right, for to join the class. And then there's also interaction. One of the reasons I love the platform is because when we now even host um engagements, or what you call Zoom meetings, right, ours go beyond that. Because how many Zoom meetings do you go to that you actually have a way of messaging the speaker or other attendees in real time, not just on the platform? Because when your Zoom meeting closes, you've lost all your like, that's why a lot of times people are like, oh, this is my email, this is my contact, because you're quickly trying to pass your digital business card, you know, to people. Hopefully they will respond to you. But our platform, what actually happens is we bring that conversation back to the platform, because 247 people are talking, they're engaging, like, oh, we loved what you talked about. So that conversation doesn't end with the Zoom. It's like pre-event and post-event. So pre-event, people engage, we introduce our speakers, we put their profile, people are interacting with them, we introduce them on the platform, and then we shift to maybe a Zoom platform. And then when that is done, we move back into the platform. And oftentimes I bring over some of the questions or unanswered question back into the community for dialogue. So many things are changing, and we're adapting. I mean, this is what COVID has done. So you have to you have to adapt and shift and pivot. So yeah, and that's one of the reasons I also teach business development and all of that. So yes, how do you like this version of towing? I don't know. Yes. Yeah. This is real stuff. Like when I say trade with Africa, people be like, "Oh, that sounds cool. I want to be a part of that." I'm like, it's work, oh. It's work. you know, Supply chain, logistics, shipments, all of the it's work. And I used to do like procurement systems, advanced shipping, ASNs, advanced shipping notices. Like the sophisticated one is what I used to manage before. So I know where we're going. But we have to do a whole lot of work. Any questions? Yeah, this is Toy showing a more technical side of the behind the scene of what she does. And this is 2021. This is my commitment. Things are going to look different this year for sure, because um I've spent the last couple of years, coming out of corporate America and then head down, you're like, oh, nobody's here to help me. Like when you're in the world's largest company, you have everything you need pretty much. Like I used to run a lot of projects, you have resources. I mean, if you're in corporate, you're spoiled. Just stay there. Like if you're in corporate, like stay there. Don't try entrepreneurship if you don't have the grit and the tenacity and the tolerance for pain. It's a painful process. I joke with people, and this is me. This is the funny side where I say, if I ever choose to go back to corporates, I am going there to have fun. I'll say, okay, this is our private conversation. I say, if ever I go back into corporate America, I am going to have fun. If my boss says, get me, I'll even say, do you want coffee? I can get you coffee. If he says jump, I'll say how high. I'm here for you. Just pay me. Just pay me. So I still tell my friends that I incorporate, stay there. Just stay there. All those things we used to say, oh, this boss, this knuckle, this. No, just stay. It's the easiest thing you can do. Just stay there. If you don't have tolerance for pain, if you don't have grit, if you don't have tenacity, I'm not from the school of thought that tells people, oh, quit your 9 to 5. No, don't quit. I'm like, and now I understand why Scott Ford, one of my mentors, when I was telling him I was leaving, he was like, don't leave. Don't leave. And now I understand what he meant. Like you never know what that journey holds. But I also tell people, when you know. I described leaving corporate for entrepreneurship as, it's like, will you marry me? Yes. You're naive. You're like, I will marry you. I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I love you so much that I will marry you again. And that's how I feel about entrepreneurship. Will I do it again? Absolutely. Absolutely, I'll do it again. I'm in love with it. But just like marriage, it has its the days you're going to go, what was I thinking? And then there are days you'll be like, yes, we did it. Right. So I remember my mom, okay, I'm switching now from technical to more fun. Okay. If you don't know the transitions, I also host like 360 Woman. So I'm moving more into the 360 Woman space where it's like my mom, when I was a young girl, she would say, okay, it was about marriage. And she was like, marriage is the place where you feel the highest of highs in terms of joy and the lowest of like if you're not there, you don't understand what that means. But if you are in, you know the highs of bringing kids and all of those things, then you know the other side. So entrepreneurship is like that. You have this amazing, amazing experiences, joys of the thrills of accomplishment, like access and influence that staying where I was before would never, never, never have given those opportunities. I use parts of me that I never knew existed. I'm stretched beyond limits. I surprise myself in various ways. So yeah, I'm in love with it. But then, obviously, it has its challenges as well. And if you listen to the biggest, the most successful entrepreneurs, and I spend time listening to them. You hear that they all have their stories, right? People look at when they've accomplished, and they're, oh, I want to be Jeff Bezos. Psh, do you want to go through the pain Jeff Bezos has gone through, or the guy that started Jet that Walmart acquired for like $3 billion. At that time, I was with Walmart. So what's his name? He now runs the e-commerce site. So yeah, you hear their story of. I remember him because when I was there, that was when they acquired Jet, and he came into the company newly, and he told a lot of personal stories. And I read online as well, like, of him, his wife being pregnant, and all of those, and just going buying diapers. But I'm like, we don't want that. Nobody wants to do the work, but we want the reward anyway. So I'm going through my own journey. Yeah. Thank you to people, being part of that journey. But anyway, this year, um, things will be different for sure. And last year I tried to communicate it, but hopefully over time people see what I mean. My calendar has been shifted, my workload has been shifted, the strategy has changed, our approach is shifting as well. Again, less events, more strategic play on events, and more hands-on business coaching. So, there are two types of coaching. There's one-on-one. Not everybody is able to commit the resources or the finance to work with me, that I can work with one-on-one. But I do that for those, right? The results are immediate, all of that. But I also do the group coaching because through the power of the group, I can commit an hour, 2 hours, because it's pooled resources. And I tell people, like, the cost of 1 month of the group, um it's a fraction of my 1 hour. Like, it's not even up to what I get paid for an hour. Anyway, that's those are some things I just say, okay, yeah. um those, I see, those are the truest words, but also the greatest rewards. Absolutely. Like, I see a lot of things, especially on Instagram. I see a lot of people like, you know, ah, quit your is it 8 to 5? Quit it. I'm like, really? The people telling you to quit, they've actually never been there. I suspect they don't know how easy corporate is. When I say easy, okay, I'm being um it's not easy. Let me say easier. It's easier than entrepreneurship. Because when it comes to entrepreneurship, the buck stops at your table. The responsibility is here. You have limited resources, and you have big dreams. You want to have great impact, but then you look at what do you have? What are you working with? Right? When I was working in corporate, these are companies built over 50 years. I'm sure at their early stages of a company like Walmart too, like the founder will have his own, right? Like, even if you go to the Walmart museum, you see his first store, Ben Franklin, like things that look like a dollar. That's where it started. But those stories should inspire us, right? Like, don't despise the days of small beginnings where we're putting one and two together and it looks really, you know, nothing, right? Right. But I've seen small things, small ideas become big. When I sit at the feet of someone like Scott Ford, and the work he started in Rwanda is now the largest private roasting company in the US. It started in Rwanda, one of the smallest countries in Africa. I've seen people pay their price, right? Start where they are. I mean, Scott was an independently wealthy person. He sold the company to Verizon for like 29 billion. He could have taken his earnings, like he used to joke, and sit on a boat, right? And put it in trust fund for his kids. But he invested it. He had bigger dreams to impact people, and now he impacts over 50,000 farmers in East Africa and all of those. So I sit at the feet of those people, and it was like towing. I almost lost everything. I was like, he said, yeah, I had this conversation with my wife, like, we're about to lose everything. But his wife, his dad stayed with him. And today, last year when they acquired one of the big companies in US, I was like, Scott, this story has a happy ending. Congratulations. So people wonder what keeps me going. People are like, Toy, you're so alive. Yes, because on my down days, I email those people. I'm like, and they fire me up again, right? Uh there's someone, actually, let me just say, the CEO of Walmart. He has one line. His words are extremely powerful. Like, one line of Toyin, good job, of Toyin, congratulations, of one line. When I see those one line coming from him, I'm like alive. Like, my spirits just, and you need that. You need that. This journey is intense, right? So I encourage people to get immerse yourself. Look at people. Okay, this is what I'm showing so many sides of me. So permit me. So there are personal coaching, people I coach personally, right? And one of the things I tell them in terms of growing yourself is have three groups of people around you. One group is people you're pouring into. So you're mentoring, you're growing them. If that's all you're doing, they're going to they're going to drain you because they're pulling from you, right? But you also want you want to have people above you that have accomplished where you're, accomplished things you're striving for. You want to have them, you want to have access to those people, because on days that you struggle or you're challenged, those people will serve as inspiration to keep you going, and they are investing into you, because to them you are the group that they're investing in. Okay. So one group you're investing in, another group is pouring into you. Then the third group I tell people privately, now making it publicly. The third group I tell people to have are peer groups. In fact, one day I was letting one of such know that the reason you're struggling right now, you think you are the smartest person in your circle. Meanwhile, you don't realize that there are other people like you. They may not be in your city, they may not be with, they are all over the world. You have peer groups of innovators, of visionaries, that when you see them, you challenge them, they challenge you, right? Like peer group. Because you can't, hopefully you're not just assuming that you're the be all. Don't. Like, that was, some people feel that way, like, oh, I'm the only one that is thinking like this. Yes, within the cycle you've built for yourself, you are the smartest in your group. So your group is not inspiring you because you seem to be the only one think what I'm saying. I remember in my high school, then people used to give me some funny names because, again, I was a bookworm, and I used to think in terms of, oh, let's solve this issue, and people are like, chill out. That's not what we are here for. We just want that grade, and you're thinking too much. And I still see that even with some of so your peer group is not age bound. It doesn't mean contemporary, like people you went to school with. It just means people that you think alike, that they are about what you're about. If you're about the future, they are about the future. If you're about transformation, they are about transformation. That's what I mean by peer group. It's not, oh, we went to school together, so they are your peer group. Oof. If that's what, so that's not my interpretation. Interpretation is mindset. People that when you come together and you talk, they light your fire, you light their fire. That's what I mean. You have to invest in that. If you don't have that, go build, go look for such. Okay. Sometimes the 9 to 5 is dream founder. Absolutely. I'm telling you. I know what I walked away from, right? 6 figure pay, this, that. I know. For me, I know what I'm working towards. I have a clear vision, right? So I am not also of the school of thought that say, oh, right. No, I know what I'm working towards, but I'm saying entrepreneurship, I admit that entrepreneurship is not for everybody. I guess that's what I'm saying. And the best thing you could do for you and your family and everything could be staying where you are and having a blast and enjoying your life. And you don't have to, you go to bed and you sleep and you snore if you snore, and you wake up the next day and you do the same thing. Enjoy that. Just enjoy it. But if you want to shift into this, what I'm telling people now is invest in coaching, because somebody that has gone 5 years ahead of you could actually spend a couple of hours sharing with you things to watch out for, things to build so that you are more successful. And that's what I'm doing. I guess that's what I'm doing with the classes I teach, is realizing that everything that I've been able to do, and people say, oh, yeah, I want to do this. I'm like, ugh. I see people spinning around in circles. They have dreams, 2 years, 3 years, they've not made any progress. They talk. There's a lot of talk. In this space, I see a whole lot of talk. They're sorry. This is the okay. I have to almost be defining the side of Tony I'm shifting into. So this is the I don't even know what to call this. What I'm about to say. I almost have to warn people before I say it. So yeah, so you're not like, oops, did Tony say that? There are people who waste time because they don't know where they're going, they're spinning, and then they're also time wasters. What I mean is they are ready to waste your own time because they have no regard or respect for their own time. So they think everybody else is like that. I recognize them and I see them. A whole lot of them are on social media. So we've designed special process. And so that's what I mean by you're about to see twins. I'm very direct. I'm very clear cut. I'm very process driven. I'm very like no nonsense in that approach where I recognize now that a lot of people approach us with the appearance of, oh, we want to do this. But when you get closer and you assess, you're like time wasters. So that's something to watch out for is that people that have zero respect for their own time would not respect your own time, right? I was on a call, someone called and we were talking, and I was like, okay, see you later. And the person was like, are you leaving? I'm like, did you pay for this hour? Like, he was like, oh, I'm enjoying your. I'm like, you're enjoying what? Click. Like, if you want me to coach you, pay for it. Like, value the time and the anyway. So that's another side of doing. So maybe I don't know how to do this because I feel like a fish out of water because um a lot of times I do not show the side of me anymore. But anyway, but I show it. But people who know me privately, okay, people that are in my business and I'm in their business, they know, they know all sides of Tony. So I'll find ways to bring that, like the no nonsense, um, because business is about it's your time. It's about value for value, but I see a whole lot of in your own space, recognize that there are so many people that don't value their own time. And because they don't value their own time, they don't really value your own time. Like that was something tough for me to realize, right? Like I had to because I kept seeing a pattern. I was like, okay, how do you name this? Like what's going on here? Oh, okay, okay, I see you. Stay right there. Like that's what it's called. So do that for yourself as well. But for those who value their own time and value you, yes, we can work together, we can do magic together as well. So that's it. Let me get back to finalizing everything for tomorrow. I invite you to join us, register. You see more of that. So that this is the community where I'm growing people. At the end of the year, you're going to see we already have testimonials and transformation and things like now I have that a little bit more luxury to invest in other people. But before now, too, Toyin was too busy doing her own Toyin and building Nezaru, trade with Africa. These are actually for those who may not have experienced some of our work, um, like this was I think the first so I still have the memorials and like this was the first engagement. This was the brochure in Arkansas when we did that. So it's a lot of work that goes into producing these physical engagements. And this was this is 2018, this is 2019. Um, yeah, so you have the agenda. Yeah, I mean, I love it. I enjoy bringing this value. Okay, that's Westrock Coffee, our sponsors and all that. So I have a whole lot of stories to share. I'll find ways to share it. And this was the World Bank chief economist on Africa. There were two books that he gave me. He brought for me. You have to be smarter. There are some people you roll with that you get smarter. And he gifted me two books on Africa, published by World Bank Group. Published by the World Bank Group. There's another one somewhere here. Yeah, and you have my leading women book. Like, this is my nice space, and I keep like when I moved. So I moved 2 years ago. So when I moved and I brought all these things out of the box, it's like I put it out there because there are the days you're like, oh, you see those things and you're like, okay, I can do this. Like, this was a full page of, can you read that? Summit in Bentonville aims to increase trade with Africa. So that's a full feature in the business journal. Kim Salza, if you ever see this, thank you for your. She's the journalist that um, what did you call interviewed me. So I keep these things around me to serve as memories of Tony. You can do it. So yeah, lots of stories all through that process. Media and all of those things. Yeah. So now again, this year, focus is on business coaching. Like, I know what I told someone, I said, I know how to get attention for the work that we do. People don't know how to do it and they're struggling. And there aren't enough platforms that celebrate Africa and the accomplishments of Africans. Not enough. When I was doing my work and at the beginning stages, you quickly realize that when you bring your story to the media, they're like, I mean, for example, I'll call one out big time. Bloomberg. I'll call them out. Bloomberg in Chicago. I don't like calling people out, but these are the things people face. Bloomberg in Chicago presented the Trade with Africa Summit that was happening here in Chicago land. And Bloomberg Chicago told me, well, we don't cover Africa. Only if you want, the only office of Bloomberg that covers Africa is in South Africa. So if you want them to cover your story, you have to work with the South Africa office. I was like, there's a problem. I'm here with you in Chicago. You're Bloomberg, you're here. And you're telling me that you don't, the events we're having in Chicago land is not relevant to Bloomberg Chicago, only relevant to Bloomberg in South Africa. So I should go and network and engage with South Africa. I'm not in South Africa. I'm here in Chicago with you. That's the problem. The Western media, they don't see this. So everything that is happening in Africa, all the news and everything, oh, business, oh, trade, that news is not being watched by American business people. It's not. They are created for Africans to watch and make you all happy, right? So for us that we're now bridging, building bridges, we're creating new platforms that brings different stakeholders and delivers the same message. I had to say, you know what? Okay, I have to go and build my own platforms myself and reach the right people myself, because I mean, this is tough. If you're not this person or that person, then your story, which is extremely important, goes below the radar. And that's why I said, okay, Kim, thank you. Those who believed in the work and gave us a full page, thank you so much. Okay, bye. I hope to see you. Go register. I mean, you're going to be. This is going to be a game changer for everyone that joins my network. Again, I did share the calendar. Let me pull that again. Every month we are having incredible programs, and I'm making myself available to answer questions. So coaching business communities, this is what we came up with last year, and this is what I'm executing head on for this year. Such an honor. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. If you're not able to make it, then you keep engaging through my weekly life, which is more like a relaxed, that's the side of towing that people are used to seeing. Relaxed chit chat. On Tuesday, we're talking about US China trade. And my guest speaker is joining me from China. It's going to be fun. Thank you, everyone. I'll leave this video out there, maybe till tomorrow or something. And if you have any questions, please reach out. Look forward to that's the email. Please send me an email or send a DM. But the class is 9 a.m. Central Time tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you if you're able to make it. That would be awesome.